This is the Tuesday live show. My name is Jeff St Laurent, and today's topic is doing business without a niche. You are always hearing, even from me and from any other person out there that's doing business coaching, business mentoring, that you've got to have a niche. Today's show is about the exact opposite of that. It's doing business without a niche, or said differently, it's doing business with a very vague general niche. Kind of the same thing, just kind of said differently. And that's probably where most coaches sit, is not that they're not trying to do business without a niche. It's just they have a niche. It's just very general and vague. It's just like everyone has money. Just some people have more money. Some people have less money, right? So you're the more specific or less specific. But today's all about doing business with a less specific general niche. All right. So with that being said, I do record all of my Tuesday live shows, and I put them on my website on sellingcoaching.com under the university. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And so I have a lot of great resources focused on helping you as a coach launch your business, structure your business, move you forward from there. I want to start you off right on the homepage at sellingcoaching.com. And that's launching your full-time business, the first 3 vital steps. You're going to see where you can enter your name and email address right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com to get instant access to that. You'll get, that's an audio course. And then also that's going to put you in my email community. And I want you there each and every week because I give some great information via email on a weekly basis. And I want you to be able to see how I stay in touch and communicate with my audience, which is you. And so you can start to develop your own style and start kind of lead by example. And so you can start to see it there. With that being said, let's get on to this topic because I'm excited about this topic because, and it's relevant because so many of my mentor coaching clients, so many of the coaches that I speak with on a weekly basis, daily basis, are in the same position and I was in the same position for many years of, oh my God, I'm gonna get specific on my niche. And is it important? Yes, it's important. Is not having a niche, is it a viable business model? Absolutely. So the first, call it 10 to 12 years of my business, I didn't have a niche at all, especially the good first 5 years. I tried to get a niche 5-6 years in. I rebranded myself, but the reality is, especially knowing what I know now, and as specific as I am now, helping coaches transition to a full-time business, even then further down the road from there saying, I teach the selling aspect of it. It's mentor coaching. So it's structuring your business from the ground up, but everything relates back to the skill set of selling, right? So that niches down and separates me and distinguishes me even further. And even from there, specializing in those sales conversations once I help you structure your business and get you off the ground, right? That's pretty specific. But rewind 15 years, because I've been in business 15 years now as a full-time coach, that first 10 plus years, I didn't have a niche. I was just a life coach. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Now I had a brand. You have a brand. And when people say they're hiring, how about this? When coaches say they're hiring someone to help them with branding, this is a joke to me. And why it's a joke? Because define branding, and this gets into our marketing, right? Without a niche, right? A brand. What is a brand? All right. A brand is a look. It's an image. It's a feel. So we think about, when I say Nike, what's the first thing you think about? Compared to Reebok, compared to Puma, compared to, you fill in the blank of another brand, right? Each company has its own look, image, and feel. Now, where does that look, image, and feel come from? It comes from obviously their products, but if we take their products in general, okay, they all have sneakers, athletic wear, athletic apparel on the sporting side, let's just say in general, right? Now, each company goes into different niches and things like that, but that's where they start off with, that's where they're at, right? So it's sneaker. So what makes Nike different from Reebok, right? It's the look, image, and feel. It's what athletes that they sponsor. They sponsor Michael Jordan. They sponsor a LeBron James. I'm a basketball guy, so if you don't know who those are, that's basketball, right? Or other, whereas Reebok's a lot more into, let's say, CrossFit in that arena. So the athletes, the sports, et cetera, that they find themselves in, their advertisements, right? The logos, the other pieces in terms of who they associate with their company lend itself to the look, image, and feel that you have when you think of that company. Now, why I said I feel it's a joke when coaches hire a branding person is because we are the brand, right? If a brand is a look, image, and feel, right, where does the look come from? Oh, it comes from you. Yeah. Does it come a little bit from your website and maybe your logo and how you put stuff together and package it? Yeah. But that's just like your logo is the least important thing in the world. It's who you help with what specifically, your niche. And we'll get into this, why you can get away with, and you can have a whole business model without a niche or a very general one, because it's all coming down to branding is where I'm going with this, right? So the look, yeah, it's some of your materials, but at the end of the day, they're going to be professional. They're going to be great. They're going to be solid. They need to be. They should be, right? You're doing a video, like don't just come up with sleepies in your eyes and just, and bad lighting and stuff like that. Like, yeah, take a little bit of time and figure that stuff out so you can have a good presentation, so you can see you can sound good, et cetera. Do at least a very professional, decent website. You have to spend $3,000, but, let's get a functional, decent, professional website that looks and functions great. Not phenomenal, but just, I'm not saying don't go there. I'm just saying you don't need to spend $3 to $5,000 when you're doing your website initially, but you can still get a very nice looking professional website that functions, right? But that's so a little bit of that. But the look and the feel and that image is going to come from you. It's going to come from your message. Like, oh, but Jeff, isn't a message my niche? Well, yes. However, when we take the path of no niche, when we take the path of sticking with a general niche, and let's just say that's our niche, right? In other words, where our message is developed from, where it becomes specific, is grounded in why you do what you do. So you're launching a seminar and coaching company. There's a reason why you're doing that. There's a reason why you want to help the people that you want to help. Not because you love coaching and you're passionate about coaching. Yeah, of course you are. I am too. We all need to be. But coaching doesn't even matter. It's not about coaching at all. It's why did we get into that spot in the first place? What did you go through in your world that led you to seeking out coaching and or finding a coaching school and moving on from there? That path, that why that led you down that path becomes your story. If we start to, like another, especially with my mentor coaching clients, right? And if I were to work with you, if I were to start working with you and help you with defining your niche more specifically, as I say, helping who with what specifically. And let's say we're able to get there, that's fine. That's going to come from that story. But sometimes based on either where you're coming from or maybe just the type of person that you are, like I've got some clients that at this stage in their career, no niche can confine them, or said differently, they can't be confined by a niche, or said differently, a niche would confine them because they just want to kind of explode. Now I'm helping them with some structuring that explosion, right? We want to put some boundaries on it. So in other words, you can still explode. If you put some boundaries on this and put you in and you explode, it's still contained. So it's still channeled. So everything bounces off the walls and it all still comes back in that little visual that I'm giving you there, right? But the boundaries are a bit more broad and set back versus having no niche at all, right? So the point is we have a direction, we have some topics, we have that why. But what I want you to start to understand is the why is what makes it specific. So you might think on the surface, your niche is general. I help people create a more fulfilling life. Could there be a more generic, vague niche? Probably, but not much more, right? But now what happens is, well, why do you do that? Well, because let's just say your story and you grew up and, you know, your parents left you, and it doesn't have to be a tragic story at all. Maybe it's just like you had this horrible job and it's just like you felt confined in that job and you're very unfulfilled. and you finally said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And you sought out something different. And now you found fulfillment through your coaching business and your coaching career, or when it was a relationship, right? And now you're helping people find that fulfillment, right? Okay. But now when as opposed to just saying the general statement, I help people create fulfillment in their lives, what makes it actually more specific is the actual story behind it, the why behind it, right? This is what I help my clients when people hire me as their mentor coach. This is what I help them understand for themselves. I can do this pretty quickly with them as well, is take that story. So now I was in this, this bad relationship, or this confining relationship, or this confining job. And it just got to that point where I said, enough is enough. And I quit my job. I found another job. I got out of that relationship, right? Whatever that what's your story that got you there? And I began to create a new family for myself, a new job, a new career for myself, blah, 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 you fill in the blank. And that led me to launching my seminar and coaching company, where I help people just like you who might be in a similar situation, feeling confined, break free to create that fulfilling life that they want for themselves. All of a sudden, that generic statement becomes more specific, right? So in other words, we can go down that path, right? And so when I'm saying, doing business with no niche, or a more general or vague niche, is the reality for you is that your niche is a lot more specific than you think it is. Except for you might not be able to say it specifically like I can, helping coaches transition to full-time business, blah, 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 like I said earlier. But where you get it specific is through that story. And people then understand why it's specific because they listen to it through that lens. They listen to it through a very superficial listening level, meaning everything they hear, they listen to it through what's going on in their world. And it starts to make sense to them. And whether it's relevant for them or not doesn't matter. It's the whole point of having a specific niche or a specific statement is so when people read it or you say it, it makes sense to them and they know instantly whether it's for them or not. And if it's relevant for them and if it's for them, then that might lead to something, potential business, right? If it's not, that's okay. But as long as they understand it, that's the whole point of having a niche in the first place. So people will understand a general and vague niche through your story. That's my message to you here. So now what happens is going down this path of having the general vague niche, the reality is, while on the surface it feels vague, the reality is when you express it through your story, then it's actually specific. If you're following what I'm saying in my theory beyond that. So you just got to start thinking like, okay, it will be specific. I've just got to share my story with people. And we share that story. You can have a welcome video on your website. You can include it in some of your emails. You can make references to your story as you go along. Not every email you send, not every single video you create, but you can share that along the way. You're doing a seminar, you can open with your story. People get it. And that sets the tone for everything else. That's your branding. Do you need someone to help you with that? No, it's like, what did you go through? Start making a video on that. Like, that's why I start helping people start honing in their message, but we got to start speaking around that. But that comes from you. And that look, that image, that feel not only becomes your message, but that becomes your brand. And that's what people become attracted to or not. It's the look, it's the energy, it's your tone, it's your expression, it's how you carry yourself, it's how you present yourself in all of that space, in a verbal, visual, via video, auditorily, in a written format via email. That creates your brand. And that brand is you. It's the brand you. There's actually a book called The Brand You. And so read those things. That's where I understand a lot of this stuff, and also through this experience. So I'm sharing it with you. So now if you're going that path, in the only difference from going down a path of really marketing wise, now the application of my message, of how I'm doing it, whether it's seminars, face-to-face, or online social media, or a hybrid version. If I can narrow that down into a statement, into a verbal statement, or even if I can't do that, but I can find these people very easily and specifically online, that's the place I'm going to go. If I can't find them online very easy or get in front of them online very easily, and maybe this because you haven't identified those people or what they're going through specifically enough, or even if you have, but that there just aren't those groups or forums or spaces for those people there, then that's where face-to-face is going to be more advantageous. The reality is, no matter what you have, our marketing strategy and the structure that I help my clients set them up on is going to be where can we get ourselves in front of these people the easiest and the quickest and in the largest amounts in terms of volume wise, and in what path, face-to-face or virtual or both. Doesn't matter which or what combination of it all, but how easily can we find them online? Typically what I find is if you're more general or you're not quite sure, again, it's specific through the story, but either way, it's going to be more challenging to be online, but that's okay. You don't have to be online. A lot of people think like, oh, I got to be online because I'm too busy, my job, and yes, those are considerations. However, what we've got to do is we've got to come up to that spot of understanding where you're at through your story and then how easily we can get in front of these people, right? I don't care how busy you are. If we can't get you in front of these people that you want to market to very easily, if at all, online, doesn't matter how busy you are, we want to go that face-to-face path. In fact, the face-to-face path is the best path, I would say, in general, especially if you haven't defined your niche well in terms of a statement or in terms of where you can identify these people, because you can get away with being more vague. Again, the specificity comes through your story, but in the statement form by getting in front of people, because then we tweak our message depending on who are we in front of at a given time. And then that makes it a little bit more specific. When I started off my first 10 plus years and I did seminars, like I said, I didn't have a niche. Well, why was I successful? And successful not just in terms of getting clients and helping those people successfully, but income-wise as well, like six-figure plus results, is I didn't get myself caught up in a statement. What I got myself caught up in was getting myself in front of people. That's the name of this game. Anyone that's creating any type of income, little bit or stupid amounts of it, it's because their message is in front of more people. So if I'm creating more income than you, it's because my message is in front of more people. And that's the only piece, because I could put you in front of 1,000 people right now and you could walk out of there with no business. And I could put myself in front of you or someone else in front of those 1,000 people and they can walk out of there with a six-figure day, right? So how we monetize when we're in front of the audience, yes, that's a factor, and we need to understand that. That's what I help my clients with, right? When they mentor coach with me, right? There's definitely a piece of it. So it's not just getting in front of people. However, in general, if I were to put you in front of 1,000 people, you'd get business out of it. And if you were to be in front of a lot more people than you are on a lot more regular basis, that's the name of the game, right? So if that's the name of the game, we got to figure out how we get in front of people, and whether we get in front of people with a very specific brand in terms of the message, or whether we haven't figured that out yet. At the end of the day, whether you have your specific statement or not, if I were to put you in front of 1,000 people, what I bet would happen is you'd still talk about the same thing, right? So therefore, the statement itself, whether you have it or not, goes away and is irrelevant, because what's relevant at that time is whoever's listening to you, for that matter, whether it's 1 or 1,000 people, is how they're going to interpret and or see your message. That's the brand, that's the look, that's the energy, that's the feel. And through that, they're going to understand who you help with what specifically. And they're not only going to understand it, but like I said earlier, if it's relevant for them and the timing's right, and all you have to do at that point is to say, hey, I'm available for one-on-one coaching. If that's of interest to you and you want to move forward, but you feel stuck, come see me at the back of the room. And now you've got a handful of people inquiring about your coaching. Now, obviously, there's a skill set. That's what I teach, the selling aspect from there, right? It's qualifying, blah, 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 everything else we'll talk about, right? And I have some of the videos and what I help you structure through and help you through for real time when I mentor coach with you. But the point of it is that at the end of the day, no matter where you're coming from, when you get you in front of those 1,000 people, guess what? You're going to speak the same thing, right? And therefore, I'm showing you can do business without a niche, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be about that headline. It's going to be about what you're speaking about. And you're like, oh my God, Jeff, but I don't know what I'm speaking about. You do. You start from your story and it evolves from there. And that's my message to you today, is start from there with your story and your why. And each time you speak on that, your message is going to evolve. And you might not be able to see it, but other people will. You just got to get yourself in front of those people.